This one's about funding. So we got to go back to the money, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Peter Thiel. He is a billionaire tech tycoon. He has been funding the GOP. Now, what is interesting about this story is being reported by MSNBC. Now, they're going to talk about the funding issues with the GOP, the problems when we think about where the money's coming from. But they're not going to mention anything about money coming into the Democratic Party. That's the problem with this video. So listen to this. This is so funny to me. They're going to talk about the billionaire money, but it seems like they only want to talk about it when it's in reference to the Republican Party. So here we go. Shout out to K Suddy QB for this video.
Hillbilly elegy, now Ohio candidate for Senate, J.D. Vance, have in common? Well, aside from their seemingly bottomless appetites for public humiliation and hypocrisy, one of their biggest donors is a highly educated, gay, immigrant tech billionaire. But the PayPal co-founder, Peter Thiel, is just one of many uber-wealthy donors spending mega bucks to make the GOP's MAGA wing the mainstream.
Anybody see the first problem, what she just said? Anybody see the first problem, what she said? The problem is you have these, look at these billionaires giving money to the GOP to make the MAGA wing mainstream. What about the billionaires that donate to the Democratic Party? What about those billionaires? I'll go back in.
Joining me now to help understand the effects it's having on our national politics, Ryan Mack. He's a technology reporter with the New York Times, and Lee Drutman, political scientist and senior fellow in the political reform program at the New America. Thanks, guys, for being here. Ryan, I want to start with you. Peter Thiel is backing 16 Senate and House candidates, many of whom are election deniers, which is a very scary thing. This one billionaire has the financial power to greatly influence the shape of the entire federal government, essentially. What's his ultimate goal here?
So he's really stepped up his donations this cycle heading into 2022, the midterms. And ultimately, what we've been seeing is he's really shaping the face of this kind of MAGA movement in the country. Beyond President Trump, you have candidates like you mentioned, like J.D. Vance. You have another of his, a protege of his, someone who works for him, Blake Masters, who's running for Senate in Arizona. You have Harriet Hageman, who's running to unseat Liz Cheney in the Republican primary in Wyoming. So he's really trying to push forward this agenda, this MAGA agenda, heading into 2022 for the House and for the Senate.
Which is interesting. And, you know, Heyman just got that endorsement from House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy as punishment, essentially, for Liz Cheney's participation in the January 6th committee. And I think Peter Thiel's worldview is quite interesting, honestly. Some of the things that he said, he called a South African apartheid, a sound economic system. It's kind of wild. Lee, this brings me to you. You studied this issue specifically, and Thiel's giving is just making up a small fraction of the hundreds of millions of dollars that will be pouring into the party. And it makes me question our democracy, as did Congresswoman AOC this week. Take a listen to what she said, and then I'll ask you about it on the other side.
Now, when you listen to what AOC says, I want you to go into this just keeping in mind that they aren't really still criticizing the real issue. They're focused on the fact that there's money coming in to the GOP from a billionaire who's trying to expand the MAGA wing of the Republican Party. They're focused more on the MAGA part instead of being focusing on the part that there's billionaires giving money. Listen to what AOC says.
You have, white nationalist reactionary politics starting to grow into a critical mass. And so what we have is the continued sophistication and takeover of our democratic systems.
And your concern is that we will look like what nation? Any nation in particular?
I think we will look like ourselves. I think we will return to Jim Crow. I think.
Check this out, guys. So she says, You have a white nationalist reactionary politics starting to grow into critical mass. And so what we have is the continued sophistication and takeover of our democratic systems. What democratic systems? What democratic systems when the DNC can say that they can pick candidates in a back room? That doesn't sound democratic to me. What democratic systems when during the Democratic primaries, the moderators were asking the candidates, how many of you think that the person who has the most delegates should move forward? The only one who thought the person who had the most delegates should move forward was Bernie Sanders. The other candidates did not. That's not democratic. What they are doing here is they're focusing on the culture war. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of white supremacy. No, duh. But the problem with this is that they are not focusing on the fact that this is money coming in from a billionaire. They're like, there's this money coming in from a billionaire who wants to expand the MAGA wing, not the fact that the money is coming from a billionaire and that the politicians in the party is corrupt because of where the money is coming from. Not once in this video do they bring up the same problem that is happening in the Democratic Party. I'll go back in.
That's what we risk.
You know, it's really interesting because AOC was essentially saying that we won't be a democracy. We'll be looking like a democracy, but we won't be a democracy. You know, Peter Thiel wrote in 2009 that he'd come to no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible. Your take on this, and is AOC right about wondering if we'll still be a democracy?
Well, it's certainly a threat. I think there are a lot of folks on the far right who have a very different vision of how this country should be governed and who should be governing it. And Peter Thiel, certainly based on his statements, interesting is one word for them. I would say a liberal, authoritarian might be another set of words that could describe them. And in our political system, in which private donors can basically decide who they want to see in office and give those candidates millions of dollars so they get a head start, that is a real threat to our political system.
He says it's a real threat to our political system, but our political system has been doing this for years. Is it a threat when it's done through the Democratic Party? Is it? This is the problem that I have. Like, this is why you'll never see someone on one of these shows who is going to counter this, who is going to point out, but the Democratic Party does the same thing. Are you going to call them out? Look, I don't need to care about Peter Thiel, but if you're going to point out what's happening with funding with the GOP, you want to point out those billionaires, make sure you point out people like George Soros, who gives money to the Democratic Party. Make sure you point him out. Yes, JB's right. The hypocrisy of it all. Like, I wonder how many people sat at home watching this and didn't pick up on the hypocrisy, didn't pick up on the fact that what they are trying to do here is they are trying to paint the Republican Party as being the bad guys for taking billionaire money when the Democratic Party's been taking money from billionaires for years. Joe Biden's notorious for taking that money. Nancy Pelosi is notorious for taking that money. I don't see them calling them out.
There is a very dangerous to democracy worldview that is emerging among some very wealthy people who feel like their vision of democracy or the vision that they see emerging of American democracy, which is a more multiracial, multi-ethnic, diverse society, is a threat to what they see. And
yeah, I agree with you. We're seeing how that plays out.
No, dude. Let's not sit here and pretend like George Soros, because he donates money to Democrats, let's not sit here and pretend like he wants black people in his neighborhood either. Let's be real. If we're going to point out the racial issue, let's be real. Democrats are racist too. Newsflash. Again, a lot of this goes back to the class issue. A lot of this goes back to money. You think a lot of these donors that donate to the Democratic Party, do you think they want black people in their neighborhood? No, they don't. So let's not pretend that George Soros doesn't want the same thing. I'm sorry.
You know, Ryan, one of the interesting things I found in your great reporting there in the New York Times is Peter Thiel has company. You know, he's not alone. He's now tied with the billionaire Ken Griffin as the largest individual donor to Republican politicians this cycle. What have you uncovered about their interests, though? Like, why are they pouring their money into these campaigns outside of just being loyalists to Trump? You know, do they expect something in return?
That was a dumb question. That was a dumb question. Do they respect something in return? No, they're just donating money for the hell of it. All donors expect something in return. Big Pharma donates to politicians. Why? Why do they do that? So they can keep those systems in place. That's why we don't have universal health care for everyone. Student loan companies like Sallie Mae donate to Republicans and Democrats, FYI. And you wonder why they won't cancel student loan debt. I can't believe she just asked that question. Do you think that they expect something in return? Duh. You think someone's just going to donate hundreds and thousands of dollars to a party and not expect that party to uphold their interest? That's how it all works. So when I tell you that both of these parties are connected to Wall Street, are owned by Wall Street and these corporations and these billionaires, believe me. They're talking again a lot about this Peter Thiel. Where's Mike Bloomberg? Why does Mike Bloomberg donate to some of the businesses and some of the parties that he donates to? The same person that they tried to pump up for president. They didn't want Bernie to win so bad that they were willing to get behind, stop, and frisk Bloomberg. That's how desperate they were. At the end of the day, they would have rather had a Republican win than have Bernie Sanders win, because they really don't want anyone in that's going to do anything for the people. They want someone in that is going to keep the status quo. I can't believe she came with these talking points.
Another interesting thing in other reporting is that Kristen Sinema gets a lot of funding from GOP donors. Senator Manchin gets a lot of funding from GOP donors. So you have to wonder, is this a quid pro quo?
She keeps calling them GOP donors. Just call it what it is. They're donors, period. They don't just donate to the Republican Party. They donate to other causes too. One of them could be the network that you're sitting on.
I would actually separate Ken Griffin from Peter Thiel. I mean, Ken Griffin, it donates to a lot of traditional Republican PACs, whereas Peter Thiel's, most of his donations have gone to two candidates in Blake Masters and JD Vance, two people that have worked for him. They've received $10 million each to their PACs from him kind of seeding their campaigns. But to go back to what he's looking for, really, he's looking to institute a new kind of worldview in American politics, whether that is the stifling of immigration, to ending the Fed, to promoting a kind of more nationalist, anti-globalist worldview.
He says you can't put Ken and Peter in the same category. Yes, you can. They're both donors. They are both donors. Put them together. Because at the end of the day, they're going to look out for their wealth. They're going to look out for people of their class. I don't know why she brought these guys on to answer these questions. I don't know why she asked the questions that she did, but I think this is one of those things that people who may not really be paying attention, you can be sitting at home on the couch and watching this segment that Case Study QB posted, shout out to Case Study, and not pick up on the fact that what they are trying to do is to scare you into the fact that there is a billionaire donating to the GOP to expand the MAGA portion of the GOP, and that you should get afraid and be worried. And in order to prevent this, you should go out and vote for Democrats. You should go out and vote for Joe Biden again. That's what this is all about. But someone who is paying attention and someone who knows about the money will look at this and say, seriously, are you not going to call out the billionaire donors that donate to the Democratic Party? Really? The same ones that push forth Jim Crow Joe, Crime Bill Joe? Who's done more harm to the Black community? Yeah, Yipper 99, but Sabby, Trump, Russia. Exactly. There you go. There you go. Case study. Shout out to Case Study QB, guys. He's in the chat. JB said, how is AOC better when she gives money to corporate Dems who get their money from these same billionaires? Follow the money, guys. They're all connected.